I think I shared with you that you're going to need a chair and a blanket for today's practice. Now, you can just use a card table chair, you can use a kitchen or dining room chair. These blue chairs I brought back in because I can use this type of chair for what I'm doing because it has a big depth to the seat. Um, but we're not going to use that until the end. So we'll start that a little bit later. All right, so this week we are discussing the second step on the 8-limb path of yoga. Hi, Mary, glad you could join us. The second limb on the 8-limb path of yoga is called Niyamas, and it means observances, things that we should put into practice. So, the first one is what I've focused on a lot earlier in the week, and it's called santosha. It means cleanliness and purity or purification. So just looking at the asanas as a way to clean out the body and looking at breath work and meditation as a way to help to purify not only the body, but also more importantly, the mind. And the second one is called santosha. This is about acceptance and it's also about contentment. So it's about finding acceptance and contentment with who you are and what you have and what's happening if it's out of our control, because there's only so many things in our control. It doesn't mean you have to roll over and have bad things happen to you and just say, oh, I'm supposed to practice contentment. It's just saying be contented enough to know how you're going to respond. So you're not reacting and creating more drama or more problems from that point. The third one is called tapas. This is one I focused on in Blissful Flow yesterday because tapas is about discipline and it's about heat. Now, this is where the hot yoga styles kind of take this piece of philosophy and run with it. But when I look at tapas and what I've been taught about tapas and the lineages that I tend to teach concerning tapas, yes, it's to heat as far as building or stoking the inner fire of transformation. And so that's really what it's referring to. Because if we're stoking the fire of inner transformation, we're continually evolving and bettering ourselves and ascending upward. And when that happens, we move more into the heart, right? Because the transformation area is more in the core. And the heart's the indwelling place of the soul. The soul is where our light shines. And so tapas means to heat, to shine, to discipline. All right, the fourth one is svadhyaya. And I believe I focused a little bit more on this one in yesterday's gentle restorative. So svadhyaya is about self-reflection, self-study, and self-inquiry. We do this when we're doing an active pose, when we're giving instructions on alignment. We start to go inside and go, okay, am I doing that with that muscle? Am I doing this proper rotation? You do that when you are even just centering and paying attention to how is my body showing up today and where is my mind at today. That's part of self-study. The last one is ishvara pranidhana, and this is what I want us to focus on in the yin portion of our class today. By the way, we're doing a little bit more active than usual for this yin flow, and I call it yin flow so that some weeks it's just strictly yin, and other weeks we can have a kind of a yin yang dynamic, and that's what we're going to do today. So in the yin poses where we get really still and quiet, this gives us an opportunity to practice this principle, which is about surrender. Surrendering to your higher self, surrendering to this moment in time, surrendering to a higher power is like kind of the bigger, broader meaning of ishvara pranidhana. So we're going to be contemplative on these and invite these into our practice, and you'll need a chair and a blanket and a mat, and I will meet you on the mat. So for today's practice, we're going to start in either a child's pose or a tadpole pose. So if you take your knees wide, big toes together to touch, just slide your arms out in front of you and fold towards the floor. As you fold down and rest on the brow, notice with your thighs angled this way, how you get an extra curvature in your low back. So if that is unsettling or uncomfortable or painful at all you need to do is come up, slide your legs closer together, and that will give a place for your belly to rest. And giving that support for your belly will bring in support for the low back. So choose which is going to be better. And then feel the penetration at the forehead, this area we call the third eye. Just having the pressure here will automatically start to calm the mind down, to invite a little bit more peacefulness in. But as you're practicing svadhyaya and checking in with the self-inquiry, you may find that it takes a few breaths, or it takes a little bit of time residing here for that to begin to take effect, depending on what you were doing before this point. So just observe any messages being received from the body. Observe the landscape of your mind. And see if your pranayama can help the mind to become more pristine. Then set your personal intention for today's practice that may be separate and apart from what I'm teaching as far as the theme today. On your next in-breath, let's rock up to hands and knees. And if your thighs were open, you'll probably need to crawl the knees right up underneath the hips. Send your left leg to the side, plant the foot, and come on up. We're going to take a side bend, Pranidhana. Radiate the right arm skyward, and as you exhale, curve over to the left. And then you can determine how you want to perform this top arm. So if you want it to be active, you're really extending and reaching up and out through the fingertips. And if you want to be a little bit more yin-like, you can flex from the elbow, let the hand fall limp. Inhale, let's come back up to the top. Exhale, we'll place the hands down and the knee down. Inhale, the right leg extends to the right side, planting the foot, and then slowly come up, lifting the left arm overhead, and then curving to the right. Pranidhana gate pose. Actively reaching up and down through the left hand, or casually spilling the arm downward, and the ear down towards the shoulder. Inhale, we're going to rise back up to the top. And if you can, just heel toe the right foot around in front. Lean forward once the foot's in place and step up to the top of the mat. And when you come forward to the top of the mat, ground and root your feet. We're going to be a little bit more active at first. Hands to prayer position at your heart and look straight ahead with your eyes. Inhale, let the arms circle out and up. Let the arms frame the face, palms turn to face each other, and exhale, fold down to Uttanasana, keeping the legs straight and structured. Folding to Uttanasana. On your next in-breath, come halfway up. Extend long through the vertebrae, and then exhale, spill right back down. Inhale, we're going to step back to plank position. And once you step back to plank position, sink the knees, drop the hips, open the heart, up dog, and then exhale, roll it all the way back to downward facing dog. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, apply pressure down through the hands, all 10 fingers. Lift up and out of your seat. Open up the pit of the arms, the backside of your knees. All the while breathing in and out through the nose. On your next exhalation, we're going to spill down to the knees and untuck the toes. And we're going to move into melting heart. Now I'm going to say we're going to hold this like a true yin style for a longer duration. If this is too much, to extend both arms out and to drop heavily into the shoulders and melt the heart towards the floor. Knowing that we're going to be holding it longer, you may want to modify and place the left arm in front of you, the right arm sails forward, and then you have a place to rest your head. Now, if you're doing both arms stretching out, I would suggest trying to rest towards the chin. But if that's too much for your neck, you can always come down to the forehead. So traditionally, it is more on the chin, but that may not be the great alignment for your neck, depending on your history. So just think about the history of your neck. It's actually good for mine because I've been losing some of the C curve. And you could even do that modified. And so the principle or niyama that I want to emphasize today is ishvara pranidhana, which is surrendering. So just surrender towards gravity. Surrender yourself to this present moment. Surrender yourself to the wisdom of your higher self. And surrender yourself to a higher power. If You have been modifying this. This is your opportunity to swap sides. Discerning chin or brow. Noticing if you have resistance to this pose. And then I also want to share with you, because we worked with Swami Satchidananda a couple weeks ago. We talked about the spiritual nature of his name. We talked about his motto being easeful, peaceful, and useful. Swami Satchidananda was known to say that if you practice ishvara pranidhana, and if you learn how to master it, then all the other niyamas are covered. See if you can learn to master this niyama. On your next in breath, we're going to slowly exit out of that pose. When you exit out and you come back to hands and knees, we're going to curl the toes under, launch into downward facing dog. So now we moved from a passive pose to an active pose. So we're kind of slurping up through the shoulders and we're not dragging them down like we were in melting heart. Now let's travel the feet all the way to the front of the mat, rising up halfway. And then exhale, spill down all the way. Let your head go, nod your head yes or no, just basically one direction. And then root down through the feet and inhale, come all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling Samastitihi. All right, we're going to do a flow back to the floor for more yin. Inhale, the arms sweep overhead. Exhale, hands together and humbly bow. When you bow over and down, release the head and neck. Inhale, come halfway up. And then exhale, spill back down. Inhale, take plank. And then from your plank, sink the knees, open the heart. We're not going to do any chaturangas today. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So we're going to mix some twist in. Since we're talking about niyamas, even though we're focusing on the surrendering aspect, that first one is still about cleanliness and purification. So drop to your knees. I'm mentioning that because twists are some of the most cleansing of the yogic poses. And we're going to do thread the needle next. So flip the left hand open and thread it underneath the right arm and sink down towards your left temple. Breathing in and out through the nose. And notice, as you close your eyes, how you're approaching this position. Noticing how much effort you're putting into it, because I want us to be more yin than even what we're doing now. And that's going to require us to surrender more. So if you place your right forearm down to the ground and roll from the left temple down to the left cheek, you'll find that the back may even slouch or slightly bow. We're heavy on the left arm. And there's 3 meridians that travel on the outside of the arms. It's the large intestine meridian, small intestine meridian, and the triple heater. We'll slide your right hand closer to the face. Let's go ahead and lift back up to table. Flip your right hand and then thread it through. And you'll probably be entering it the active way because that's what we're used to doing. And that's part of svadhyaya, the self-study, is noticing the habits, behaviors, the training and the conditioning, how it shows up on and off the mat. And so let's let go of some of that conditioning and let's submit more in the pose. So let's lower the left forearm, roll more towards the right cheek, and then just sink a little heavier onto that right upper arm. So this is a great pose to notice the difference between the active and the passive, the yin and the yang. You can tell how they target different tissues in the body, each one providing purification in its own way. Like the more active one was better purification for the muscles and digestion. And this one is more for the connective tissues. Now let's slide your left hand back, gently build it up. And we're going to come back to the floor now. So if you just spill down to the front side of your body, we're going to go to broken wing. The left arm is going to splay to the side, palm turned down, lower to your left ear and roll to your left side, bending the knees and stacking the ankles. Now, there may be days, and this is why we practice svadhyaya, right? To be aware in each moment, in each pose, on each day of our mat, whether or not we need to go any farther. So this may be perfect. If you want to go deeper or open the hip, lift the right knee skyward. And if you want to work into this hip opening even more, you can step the right foot behind you and stand on the big toe. Now, like normally I can do this, but I'm feeling a cramp near my, in my buttocks, near the piriformis. So I'm bringing the ankles back together. This is how you not only personalize your practice, this is how you honor your body, but it's all based under this second step of yoga, niyamas. Are you contented with where you're holding this shape? Let's lower the right knee if it's not there already. And slide your feet down your mat. Roll to the belly. Take your right arm to your right side. Slide your left hand in and just slowly pivot to your right side. Bend and stack your knees. So sometimes we keep a leg straight and then elevate a knee. Oh, I've just been finding I like this clam version so much better. But if you like the other version, the other style, then go ahead. If you want to elevate your left knee to open the clam here, if you want to step back and stand on the big toe, you may. You also want to check in with those SI joints in your low back to make sure they're not flaring up, talking back, or irritated at all. Surrender your psyche to the experience. And as you exhale, let's lower that left knee down. Slide your right hand closer to your body, and then you can just press through the hands to slowly come up. All right, so after those twists, it's going to feel really nice to go into instant Maui. And this is where we're going to start implementing the chair. So if you bring the chair in, if you have one of the card table chairs, you may like a blanket on top. And you can also do this over the edge of your couch if the chair is not easily accessible. Or just swinging the calves and the feet up to the seat of the chair so the back can be flat and start to relax on the mat. Now, I mentioned I wanted our emphasis to be on ishvara pranidhana, this idea or state of surrender. But know that you can also work towards breathing your way into that state of santosha, contentment. Or you could also work with svadhyaya, that self study or inner reflection during these next few poses. We are going to be working towards the magic four. The magic four, you may notice slight little quiverings from your muscles getting a release, especially in the low back. You may notice your mind drifting into that vast, what feels like a void, but it's actually the birthing ground of all that is. And these are just a couple ideas of knowing when you are dropping into that state of surrender. Going from doing to being. You may enjoy your hands resting on your belly. Feeling it rise on the inhale. Gently falling away on the exhale. Now we're going to slide the left foot closer in our direction, and you can stop anywhere along that pathway, and you can even rest the arch of the foot at the edge of the seat. You just want that knee angling straight in towards your chest. So remember, sometimes less is more. So doing less physically could give you more of a release because it's giving you that opportunity to relax into it versus stretch into it. Remember this sequence of poses here at the end. If you've had a long day of standing around and being on your feet, if you've been traveling, if you've been walking the whole day, hiking the whole day, or any time where you may have pulled or tweaked your back. And go ahead and replace the whole left calf to the chair and start to slide your right foot back, basically taking it to the other side. Let's go ahead and replace the whole right calf to the seat. And then your left ankle is going to cross over the right knee. And this is generally where we tend to stay. However, if you want to feed more sensation into your low back and hip, you can slide your right foot back maybe just a skosh, just a slight degree. I want to share with you a concept that Patanjali brings up in the Yoga Sutras concerning svadhyaya, which is the self study or inquiry. So, just a little back history. Years ago, yoga was passed on from teacher to student, and it was one on one. Most of it was verbal, but there were some writings on leaves. And then I can't remember if it was like 2,500 years ago or about 3,000 years ago, somebody named Patanjali decided he wanted to compile the teachings of yoga together to create the book Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. When he's discussing svadhyaya, this niyama that we've mentioned today, he said, study thyself, discover the divine. Study thyself and discover the divine. So basically, it's studying thyself to the degree where you pull back enough from your thoughts, feelings, sensations, to be that inner witness, to discover that the inner witness is infinite, timeless. All right, let's replace the left calf to the chair, and then the right ankle will cross over the left knee. Choosing to stay stationed in this place or gliding your left foot back a bit. I don't know about you, but this sequence can get pretty intense, even though it seems so effortless. This sequence always shows me how much tension I hold in my low back. And Really, a lot of that can go back to the psoas muscle as well, since it attaches to the low back. Let's go ahead and return the right calf to the chair. If your hands are on your belly, fan the hands in an A-frame manner alongside you, and then let your knees roll off to the left and down to the floor. Also, let your head turn towards your left shoulder. And then you're going to hold and breathe. Inhale, just roll your head to center. Take a few more breaths. Now grip in your belly enough so that you can scale the feet over the chair and off to the right. And then eventually turning your head to the right shoulder as well. Gently turn the head to center and take a few deep breaths. And then grip in the belly. Roll back to the chair. And we're going to reset the spine here for a mini shavasana. Just breathing slowly in and out through the nose. Soften your toes, the arches, and the ankles of both feet. Relax your calves, your thighs, hips, and buttocks. You're inhaling, surf the wave, the breath from your belly to your chest. As you exhale, surf the wave, the breath, and follow it down through the spine. Breathing up the front, breathing down through the back. And soften your fingers, your wrist, and your hands. Bring that relaxation up into the shoulders, eventually into your neck, throat, face. Firming bones, muscles, movement. I surrender now. Anxiety, elation, depression, and all turning thoughts, I now give over to the hands of peace. Peace, be still. Be still and know that I am. All of that affirmation is ishvara, pranidhana. Seven more breaths. And at the end of your seven, you can slide the feet closer and roll off and away to your favorite side. Slowly coming up to take a seat. Oh my goodness, you guys. Usually when I teach that sequence, I don't get to do it. And I did it with you, and I feel so good, and I hope you do too. So that feeling of contentment and acceptance, I hope, is washing over you at this point. And that's the santosha. May we all be reminded of this richness that lies in the yogic philosophy. May we use it in our daily lives. May we use it when we're practicing on the mat. The light within me honors and respectfully bows to the same within each of you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.